Hi, I am Claire Traskia and we are here to discuss about family issues part 1, tackling family planning, early marriage, live-in, and abortion. First is family planning. Family planning is a couple's choice to limit or space their children using contraceptive methods or abstinence. Still, what are the things couples consider before family planning? First are the issues that lead to it not being practiced. First, it is viewed as a burden since they view contraception as inconvenient. Secondly, is the fear of contraceptive side effects. Thirdly, the overwhelming selection of contraceptives. Fourth is the stigmatization of the family planning. And lastly is the view of family planning and contraceptives by some religions as a sin. Yet, even to couples who have considered it, problems still arises since they either lack knowledge about family planning or has mainly lack of contraceptives itself. And of course, the effect of the family planning itself, such as finances and decisions made by the male partner. Even though there's already a law enacted promoting family planning, there are still who reject it. As I mentioned, being a contradiction to God's law of procreation. Towards society is the challenge of educating women and access to this contraception against social stigma and religion. Pro-issue news is that awareness about the health crisis towards women's fertility is being spread and actions are already progressing. Being one is the UN collaboration. Yet, with this awareness, supply chains of contraceptives are still limited. The solution I can come up with is for families to gather information regarding family planning, but I believe the government is still itself should improve their education about family planning as well as further research. Next is early marriage, which is a violation of children's rights. It refers to marriage before the age of 18. It is a value issue since, from the definition itself, children are meant to be developed and not married. Children also lose their rights to health, education, and safety. This leads to several major problems, such as lack of health and lack of care without proper development and education about starting a family. At an early age, they also held responsible for their offspring and other maternal duties. Several reasons why early marriage occurs is because of poverty. An example is an exchange of marriage for money, which is cruel. Of course, because of gender inequality itself and lack of government support to protect young women. This will further foster if not enforced. The good news is there is already a law enacted, which is RA 11596. Well, the bad news is that despite the law, it is still happening, particularly in Mindanao due to poverty and cultural practices. To combat this is to educate the community first, not just the women but as well as the men to promote gender equality with the help of the government to provide monitoring systems and services. Okay. Third is abortion, which is the interruption of pregnancy operated before the 20th week. Uh, the main opposition to abortion is the belief that the fetus is perceived alive, therefore, it has the same rights and worth as breeding humans. Restrictions on abortion are seen to affect women's reproductive health and also viewed why there are most children in foster care. This is to what I have researched, not that I personally agree. Still, news tells us that the government sees abortion should be normalized for women, and underground operation should further be prevented. Yet, some lawmakers still strongly do not support it due to the influence of the church and conservative ideologies. As this is already being processed in the government, here are some of the family recommendation considering abortion. First is to focus on health. One option aside from abortion is considering family planning, as I mentioned earlier, as well as to have support systems to help you to consider other options than abortion. And I see nothing wrong with also considering your personal beliefs and also to talk about whether abortion really is the only option through open dialogue. Lastly is live-in, mostly known as cohabitation, which refers to couples moving under one roof without marriage, which is seen as further demonstration of commitment. Several issues arise, such as the law recognizing that the mother has sole rights over the child, which also leads to conflict to whoever shares authority in the household. And without recognition of the law, it also impacts the child's identity and whose finances should be responsible. And even not through the child, research shows marriage also implies couples having higher trust and satisfaction than those who don't, who tend to divorce in the early phases. Societal effects involves, as I mentioned, is in terms of legality. The law does not recognize couples, which excludes them from several benefits, as well as the formation of stigma. Since Filipinos have strong emphasis on the sanctity of marriage, pro-issue news is that cohabitation is viewed as a big step for couples, and some parents even support it. The anti-news is from the church, in which they view this as a challenge and persist the importance of sacramental marriage. Now, as for the family-centered solution, is that before engaging in cohabitation, is to have open communication first. And if you ever do consider moving in, have some ground rules and some financial planning. And since you are without marriage, there are also several things you need to consider about legality. Also, discuss personal boundaries and set your future goals to guide your relationship. And lastly, to make things bearable, have yourself a comfortable living environment. And that is for part one of values issue. Thank you for listening.